Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Michael Hudson, reporting from Seattle, Washington. We hope everybody is continuing to be healthy, kind, and wise during these interesting times. So with me today, we have our correspondents from across the continent who will discuss sports topics that have been circulating during this time of pandemic. In Las Vegas, Nevada, we have Aljamain Santos.
What's up, everybody? It's good to be back.
In D.C. of Washington, we have Ken Cruz.
12 days until NBA exhibition games start, guys. Excited.
Yes.
And last but not least, we'd like to introduce to you the very first time joining us on our panel from Vancouver, Canada, Anthony Sevilla.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure to be with you on this program. Thanks for joining us today. The unpredictability of sports right now has created new situations that experts have not seen before. And tonight we will discuss, converse, and relay our own opinions, but not as experts, but simply as fans of our favorite sports. Before we do anything else, let's hear some news updates from our correspondents here in North America. Let's hear from Anthony in Vancouver, Canada, where he has some news about Major League Soccer. Anthony?
10 players from FC Dallas, along with one team personnel, were tested positive for COVID-19 upon arrival to the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex in Orlando. The entire team and training staff were immediately quarantined upon their arrival. Also, 2 Vancouver Whitecaps players tested positive, which forced the team to stay north of the border in Canada. Other Whitecaps players and personnel were tested, but came back negative. Because of this, the opening match between FC Dallas and the Vancouver Whitecaps were officially postponed by the league, and this was a statement from the MLS. Major League Soccer today announced that the MLS is Back tournament Group B game between FC Dallas and Vancouver Whitecaps FC has been postponed and will be played on a later match date in the group stage. Further details will be announced at a later date. The Whitecaps were supposed to land in Orlando on Canada Day, which was on July 1st, but were held back because of 2 inconclusive COVID-19 PCR test results when they were screened before departing Vancouver. However, those test results were confirmed negative. The Whitecaps landed safely into Orlando and had their practice earlier today in preparation for their first match on Wednesday against the San Jose Earthquakes. Back to you, Mike.
Really appreciate the report, Anthony. So let's deal with sports in Florida, but let's move from soccer to basketball, where the NBA players are also starting to arrive in Florida earlier this week. Like Ken said, 12 days until the preliminary games. Ken, what's the report?
Yes, sir. So NBA players started arriving in Orlando to face life in the league's quote-unquote bubble at Walt Disney World ahead of Thursday's start of training camp workouts. So airplane-style food trays that brought a couple mixed reviews. 22 teams prepare to restart a 2019-2020 season, which seems like forever ago. That was shut down March the 11th when Utah's Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19. Players are tested for coronavirus upon arrival at the quarantine zone designed to prevent outbreaks, even as Florida becomes one of the latest U.S. epicenters of the deadly virus. They must pass another test at least 24 hours later to leave isolation and partake of hotel restaurants with more than prepackaged offerings. Teams can begin training camp workouts once they've completed bubble arrival quarantine. Teams will start to scrimmage each other on July the 22nd ahead of the planned July 30th restart. Some players have been outspoken in their lack of confidence in the NBA bubble plan, which was assembled in consultation with the Players Union and medical experts, as well as local and state officials. Back to you, Mike.
Really appreciate the reports, you guys. So before we continue, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk with our panel about the state of sports during these very interesting times. Don't go away.
All or nothing na ang magiging labanan sa tagisan ng galing. Dahil ang top 30 ay sasalain na para mabuo ang top 15 semi-finalist.
Sino
Abangan niyan this weekend sa pinakamalawak na talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito ang Tagisan ng Galing.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichunks. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate NEPs and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matimco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation. East West Bank, your dream, our focus.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutrichunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutrichunks.
Star Tollway is a 41.9-kilometer highway that stretches out from Santo Tomas, Batangas all the way to Batangas City. An important component of the company's portfolio, the NAIA Expressway project is a 5.4-kilometer elevated expressway that connects the Skyway system to NAIA Airport terminals and the entertainment city. SMC Infrastructure's ventures also include other projects aside from the toll road business.
Hey, Aggression Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sandmade Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sandmade Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back, everybody, to EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson, broadcasting from the Emerald City. Thank you for staying with us. So earlier, Anthony and Ken gave us some pretty good news reports about the state of Major League Soccer and the NBA when it comes to their bubble situation in Florida. You know, this pandemic has truly turned the sports world upside down, and although professional athletes and the fans that love these sports really wish that we could just get back to playing and watching these leagues like before, it looks like there are still so many hurdles that we have to overcome. So let's start our discussion with that today. So Anthony, you reported on the MLS earlier. We want to hear your thoughts about the league opening up again. Do you think it's too soon? I mean, what concerns do you have? And I mean, for example, during the Whitecap season, you regularly were there at their games covering them for our network. So what are your thoughts?
Well, in my opinion, I believe the MLS should have delayed their season a little bit longer, and specifically just waiting it out a few months longer and not have a bubble tournament in Orlando. Unlike the other major sports leagues in North America, we're seeing a greater number of players and even entire teams test positive for COVID-19. Like I mentioned earlier, FC Dallas had 10 players test positive, and that was when they already arrived in the so-called bubble. And just yesterday, Nashville SC withdrew from the tournament. So the difference between the NBA and the MLS is that for the NBA, they were just a few games from closing out the regular season. So it was only fitting that they finish it off and crown a champion. Majority of the teams in MLS had played less than 2 games prior to the pandemic. And I get that the league and the players' union just negotiated a new collective bargaining agreement, and they have given the players the option to opt out in traveling to Orlando for the tournament. The league is planning to continue games in the team's home markets after the tournament anyways. But I also understand that the money is on the table without this return. What do you guys feel?
For me, absolutely health is always going to be the number one priority. And so I understand where these teams feel that they need to withdraw. However, just on the other side of things, I mean, I love the fact that, that there's a tournament style, right? I mean, that's like kind of reminiscent of the World Cup format where they're having, these different group settings first and then like a nice little playoff setting. That's great for the fans. But I mean, as I mentioned, like at the end of the day, like if a bunch of positive, coronavirus positive people are in a bubble, I mean, that's just going to cause a lot more people to catch the virus. And so it's dangerous for all parties involved, especially with such a high contact sport as soccer is. Like you can't avoid running into someone. And then obviously the sweat, the blood, the tears, right, that are involved in all of these games. My question is that what's the minimum amount of people that need to test positive in order for a team to withdraw? And how many teams is it going to take for the entire thing to be, either postponed or canceled in total? That's what I'm curious with, is that how far is MLS willing to take this?
See, this is the way I look at it too. Is if you look at it from the business standpoint, it's going to be tough to bounce back from something like this. It's just like your small business taco shops, but we're talking about like big scale business here. When it comes to shutting down operations, what's going to be your income? Where's it going to be coming from? If there's no ticket sales, if there's no TV ads, if there's no televised games, it's possible that some of these sports may not come back for a while. If they're either going to have to negotiate a cut in their pay and their salaries and things like that. They're going to have to negotiate ways to pay their athletes and athletes to be satisfied with what they're being paid to put themselves out there. If a business were to close for X amount of time, it's going to leave, it's going to increase the gap in which they have to make up for it. The good thing about maybe the MLS and other sports as well as the NBA, there's not a whole lot of overhead. I mean, you have employees, but those guys are going to have to take cuts. Are going to be furloughed. At some point, it's going to suffer just like any business. So
what's challenging with that too?
Find those solutions.
Yeah, what's challenging with that too is where MLS ranks in U.S. Canada sports rankings, right? I mean, it's obviously below the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, even the NHL. And so, as far as like popularity wise and overall gross income, I mean, that's if you're not going to have ticket sales, which obviously they won't. These games are going to be played without fans. All they have to rely on, as far as their income, is one, the guaranteed money in these collective bargains, but two, like television, right? And so if they're not playing games, none of these are broadcast.
Exactly.
And how are they going to get their money, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, guys. And I think what alarms me the most is just how I don't know how they run things as far as their medical personnel, because it just seemed like in a matter of like hours there was like 20 plus people that just tested positive. So I don't know what their what their protocols are. But this is the perfect segue to go into our next topic, which is the NBA. With everything that's going on right now, with MLS having all these positive cases, a lot of people are fearing the same may happen with the NBA as well. Ken, what are your thoughts? What do you honestly think the state of the NBA is right now?
So right now, I think, obviously with social media, we're kind of in an awesome spot as fans. I mean, obviously, COVID-19 aside, right? We get to see these guys arrive. They're posting everything while they're on the planes, on the buses, in their hotels. So we get to see the bubble through the eyes of the players. That's awesome, right? So there's a wide range of responses regarding the amenities. That's hilarious, right? So some of these guys, they love the food. Some of these guys, they absolutely hate the food. And they're just like clowning on the food, they're clowning on the hotels, which is kind of sad, right? I mean, you see how privileged these millionaires are, that they're like saying how bad, like with that Motel 6 comment, who was that?
I think Joel Embiid said he's going to lose 50 pounds from all the.
Well, that was the food one, but I think somebody was complaining about the state of their hotel, and I
think Troy Daniels or something like that.
Troy Daniels.
And I'm just like, are you serious? Like, look, you're in this amazing spot, right? And they're also going to be and they just have to do this for a couple days before they actually get to go to these restaurants. And two, Disney World is allowing them after hours to ride rides on their own. Can you imagine that? And talk certain parts of the park. Yes, certain parts of the park will be available for these players to be able to ride. Imagine Space Mountain just for you and your teammates. Like, that is an amazing experience. So these kinds of things I think are amazing. Seeing these balcony DJs, seeing the gaming systems, Mike Leonard, he has a nice gaming system. I do question his wallpaper choice. It's him, right? And one thing I want to say about Mike Leonard, he has a really weird wallpaper. Not wallpaper. He has a really weird voice. It sounds like he's a pro wrestler. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think, for me, I think it's because these guys are so used to having a privileged life, right? I mean, these guys are multimillionaires, for crying out loud. So when you're used to a certain lifestyle, it kind of it's a culture shock, I guess you can say, when you see that kind of thing.
Right.
So Aljamain, what are your thoughts? What do you think the state of the NBA is right now?
I mean, I think it's just like any other business as well. They're taking the precautionary measures. They're trying their best to maintain a sanitary area for them to do their job. I think at this point in society and in the current state of the world, it's really hard to see it as sports now. It's really hard to see it as sports entertainment because we're starting to see a lot of what goes on in the background. It's become very transparent for the viewers, for the average guys who watch sports, to really see what goes into protecting the players, what goes into negotiating when big things like this happen. So I think it's super interesting for me to really see what the NBA is doing to maintain their status quo, if not protect their future investments. Because when it comes to a business, I mean, you have to prepare for disasters. And this is one of those disasters that I think will either make the NBA a lot stronger as a business, and the relationship between its owners and administration personnel with the players. Or it's going to completely break it down, and players are just going to be super unhappy, just like any other employee, if they feel like they're not being taken care of. So, big steps that Adam Silver needs to take, along with the NBA Players Association as well. So, I'm super focused on what's going on and what the future of sports in general is going to be after this.
Right. And Anthony, we have about a minute left. What do you think? Do you have any do you think the NBA is going to finish their season? What are your thoughts?
I do actually believe the NBA will finish their season. I do believe that they actually have a good foundation going on in Orlando. And even the MLS, they have a good foundation too. And I believe they just need to have that right mentality. Axel Schuster, he's the sporting director here for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and he was asked about their entertainment and their accommodations, and he said, we're not worried about that. We're here to work. So I feel like if the NBA had that same mindset, they're here to work, they're here to compete for a championship, I believe there shouldn't be any problems.
Absolutely. So
real quick, I wanted to add in that I do love the fact that a lot of these players, upon arriving, are actually backing up what they said, that they're using their platforms. They're coming in, with their shirts, speaking, about social injustice. They said that they were going to use their platform to do this, and this is what they're doing. I applaud that.
Absolutely. So we'll definitely, like we've always been hearing throughout this whole pandemic, only time will tell. So hopefully everything works out, and we'll see what happens. So before we continue on with the next discussion, we'll take a short break. Please stay with us.
All or nothing na ang magiging labanan sa tagisan ng galing. Dahil ang top 30 ay sasalain na para mabuo ang top 15 semi-finalist.
Sino ba sila? Karaniwang tao, saan katatakbo?
I've been waiting for, I've been praying for.
Tutukan niya this weekend sa pinakamalawak na talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito ang Tagisan ng Galing.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichocs, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichocs. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Lunch and Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matimco, R Square Vargos Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation. East West Bank, your dream, our focus.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutrichunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutrichunks.
To date, SMC Infrastructure remains at the forefront of Boracay Airport's modernization. The current and long-term developments include the construction of an international airport passenger terminal and the extension of the existing runway to better serve bigger aircrafts, providing tourists with world-class access to this slice of paradise.
Hey, Aggression Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, San-May Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! San-May Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Bakit natin ipinagluluto ang mga mahal natin? We want them to feel special. Sa meaty luncheon meat that we serve. If your pure intentions had a taste, it would taste like Pure Foods. Pure sarap. Pure Foods luncheon meat.
Welcome back, everybody, to EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Michael Hudson, and along with me are our colleagues here at EBC Sports International. We were talking earlier about the reopening of sports and the effect that COVID-19 has been having on the plans of professional sports leagues. One of the biggest sports stories for the week has nothing to do with the pandemic, though. It has to do with Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback in the NFL, just signing a contract extension for 10 years worth $503 million. Aljamain, can you give us some details?
For sure, man. Scoring big is an understatement, Mike. Like, this deal is massive. It's actually historic. You know, the richest deal in NFL history. So it's a pretty huge deal. News reports said that it's a 10-year extension worth $450 million. But Mahomes' agency, Steinberg Sports, tweeted that the deal could fetch him as much as $503 million over the total term. That's $500 million. I mean, I don't think you get as big as you do. You know, we compared in our chat earlier this week that the highest paid NBA player right now is Russell Westbrook from the Houston Rockets. And his deal, let's take a look here, is $206 million over 5 years. That's what? That's just almost a little bit under half. And then you have Mike Trout from the California Angels, Anaheim Angels, I'm sorry, $426.5 million over 12 years. I mean, it's up there, but I mean, Patrick Mahomes, $500 million. The kid is swimming in it, bro. Swimming.
He is. So my question to you guys, well, first of all, I want to say that, you know, yeah, it is $503 million, but it's not fully guaranteed like Westbrook and Trout's contracts.
Well, that's what I want to comment on, right? So $63 million is guaranteed upon signing. That's it. And then $141 million in injury guarantees, which, I mean, it could happen to anyone, right? I mean, like, his whole career can be shattered based on injuries, maybe even in year 2, right? So, like, in comparison to Kirk Cousins, who signed a 3-year, $84 million contract guaranteed. This was in 2018, right? So, like, and he's way better than Kirk Cousins. And so that's where I think, if anything, he should be blaming his agents on not signing like a 12-year, $503 million guaranteed contract. I think that's where they should have went. They should have went for the guaranteed money instead of these bonuses. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, yes, it's amazing to see $500 million on paper. However, I mean, like, if you look at the actual year-over-year breakdown of like how he gets paid, a lot of these are obviously just bonus money. I mean, I'm sure Kansas City will do their best to take care of him, get him bonuses as guarantees. But on paper, he's paid almost like you know, a middle tier quarterback, minus the bonuses. And so my guess is that moving forward, this is how quarterbacks might get paid. He could have changed the whole landscape of the NFL by asking for guaranteed money, which the Chiefs would have been forced to give him, because what else would they have done, right? Let him walk? No. I mean, this guy is the future of the league. He's the LeBron James of the NFL, and they need him more than he needs them. And so I think he did himself an injustice. I think this reminds me a lot of the Scottie Pippen contract in the 90s, where, you know, he undervalued, signed for too long, and he should have asked for a lot more money up front and guaranteed.
Anthony, what are your thoughts? Do you agree, disagree with that notion?
Well, I believe that he wanted that long-term deal. He wanted that job security. So, yeah, I do agree with you with the Scottie Pippen comparison, but it is generational money. So that money obviously will help him in generations to come. And obviously he thought about that when it came to his future, and he obviously wanted that long-term commitment. So.
Aljamin, do you think he basically was kind of emotional when he signed that deal, or I mean, what do you even think he's worth that type of money?
You know, Patrick Mahomes is still a young quarterback. You know, I give it up to him for being super skilled in a sport of like grown men. You know, not to say like Patrick Mahomes is a kid, but if you were to compare him to a lot of the quarterbacks that are in the league right now, he is kind of like, you know, the runt of the crew. You know, the kid is super talented. I believe that he deserves that money. But Ken brought up a big point in it. You know, how much of that is guaranteed? You know, what are the details of the contract that say you earn this type of bonus, you earn this type of bonus? You know, is it going to be the landscape of how the NFL pays their players? So if it's going to be incentivized based on their performance versus guaranteed money, you know, I think that you know, I think he's got a pretty decent deal. I'm not sure what any kind of renegotiations down that 10-year stretch will be, but the Chiefs have locked him in for 10 years. You know, you have to account into inflation and things like that. 10 years, you know, money could be worth nothing, you know, with what's going on with the globe right now. So
inflation with $500 million. But I did have a question for you, Ken, real quick. I think one of the reasons why he did sign this contract as well is that, and it's so heavily incentivized, is because they didn't want it to hit against the salary cap of the Chiefs. They want to keep
right.
So my question to you is, do you think this is going to hurt the Chiefs in the long run, this type of contract?
Oh, this is an amazing team-friendly deal. As far as, you know, your quarterback is going to get paid in some way, but your cap's not affected, right? So you can still sign, you know, the top two receivers, running backs, and then, you know, both your O-line and your defensive line to make sure that your team is well-rounded, which you'll need. You know, Mahomes is the future of the NFL. Like, he's the no-look pass guy, literally, right? He's a Super Bowl champion already at this young of age. So, you know, the league's future is dependent on how he performs. And so one of the things that I also wanted to bring up is that his contract does not allow him to do a lot of physical activity. He had a radio interview earlier this week where he just said he can't hoop, no basketball, and he can't jet ski. There's like pretty much any physical activity he can't do. So he said he's going to stick with football and video games, which I don't think is, you know, a horrible alternative. But at the same time, too, like, you know, 10 years of not playing basketball, that might be tough for me. But I'll take that.
Just have a video on the jet ski somewhere. Was that pre-contract or after contract?
That might be in trouble if he was jet ski to sign the contract.
So let me ask you guys a question as we close this discussion. So what would be the first thing you guys buy if you signed that Mahomes contract?
Easily, I'm buying houses, property, and
houses. Okay,
that's where it's at.
Right. No, I would buy a house away from Kansas City, right? Because Kansas City is probably like 500,000, right? So I'd probably go to like LA or the Hamptons or something, get like, you know, use my $50 million bonus on, and then from there, like, you know, do all the non-physical things, activities as I can, right?
How about you, Anthony?
To be honest, I would probably buy a house too, but I would most likely be donating that to charity. You know, like Boys and Girls Club has been like a huge part of my life growing up. When it came to playing hockey, they allowed me to grow up with the Vancouver Canucks and help with like basketball. So definitely I'd be donating a little lead to one of my favorite charities for the Girls Club specifically.
Good man.
Unfortunately, Anthony, in Vancouver, his contract can only purchase like half a house. The real estate there is insane.
Yeah, so I'll just stick with the house then.
Also, Anthony, you can probably use the money to buy some better internet too, because your connection's kind of.
Oh man,
we use free internet here in Canada.
So guys, do you think this is enough to inspire to unify the Chiefs together to go for another Super Bowl run this year?
Oh, easily.
Yes, but honestly, it has the lead. Like honestly, all eyes are on Tom Brady and the Bucks, and right now, like especially with the Cam Newton signing, I look at the Bucks and the Patriots over the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh wow,
bold.
That is bold.
Very bold, very bold. So definitely we'll see what happens. Everything is up in the air, obviously, with the pandemic happening. But I think it's safe to say that Mahomes is going to be, or is, a very rich man, but at the same time has a target on his back. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll move on to our next topic. We'll be right back.
All or nothing na ang magiging labanan sa tagisan ng galing. Dahil ang top 30 ay sasalain na para mabuo ang top 15 semi-finalist.
Sino ba sila? Karaniwang tao, saan katatakbo?
I've been praying for.
Tutukan niya this weekend sa pinakamalawak na talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito ang Tagisan ng Galing.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichops, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichops. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Lunch and Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Food Standard Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matimco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation. East West Bank, your dream, our focus.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
The Metro Rail Transit 7, or MRT-7, is a planned rail and road project from North Avenue, Quezon City to San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, with 14 stations, which can service 650,000 passengers daily. And very soon, the construction of the new Manila International Airport in Bulacan, Bulacan is expected to accommodate 100 million passengers annually and promises to be another significant contribution to progress in the Philippines.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sandwich Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sandwich Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ibang klase ang sarap ng corned beef mo. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Kaya perfect ang sarap. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Everybody, welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson. Thanks for staying with us tonight. So now let's talk about one of my favorite sports, which is golf. And when many people talk about golf, the first name that comes to mind is Tiger Woods. And the latest developments, Tiger Woods is finally going to play in a tournament, which is the Memorial Tournament, which is this coming week. The first in quite a while. He's been sitting out for quite some time. The last time he played was in that charity golf tournament with Phil Mickelson, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. So, Anthony, I wanted to ask your thoughts. What is your prediction from this tournament on to the rest of the season as far as Tiger Woods goes?
Well, this tournament is filled with a lot of talent. I mean, McIlroy and Mickelson, and the last time he competed was how long ago? 4 months ago, right? And where did he place in that tournament? He placed last amongst all those competitors. So I believe he also has a back problem, I believe. So he's dealing with injuries. He's 44 years old. I'm not saying that's old, but in terms of his prime, he's definitely not in his prime anymore. I believe he will not finish to where he wants to finish in this Memorial Tournament, but I believe this could be a stepping stone into something brighter in the future.
Look, Tiger Woods' back. Tiger Woods 44 years old, as Anthony mentioned, right? But his back is like a 65-year-old's back, right? The dude's had it reconstructed like he's like RoboCop. Unfortunately for him, fortunately for him is that like each break that he has is great. So, these 3-4 month spaces in between games, and this one's like a non-major, right? But I mean, these events, these tournaments are great for him. And so, yes, he's trying to catch that 83 PGA Tour victory record, and I think he's going to catch that. My hope is that he catches that during the season. But at the same time, too, like one thing that I did want to bring up is that based on watching him live with Mike earlier this year, right? There's flocks and flocks and flocks of crowds watching him going from like literally hole to hole, just following him and him only. And he doesn't have to have that distraction probably for the rest of the season, right? So because of COVID-19, I think this is, for him, the silver lining is that he doesn't have to play with crowds. And so he gets to focus on the greens. He gets to focus on his game, and I think that's nothing but good news for him, right? So he had the 4 or 5 month rest, and then 2, he gets to the only thing that's distracting him is just his own head, and obviously his back and body, right? But I think these are great signs to hopefully get him another victory.
Absolutely. And Aljamin, I mean, what's your take about what's going on as far as Tiger Woods' legacy? I mean, do you think he has more to prove? I mean, he's won so much, but as far as his career goes, do you think he's kind of just playing with house money right now?
I think Tiger Woods has already solidified his space in the topics of the greatest of all time in the sport of golf. When you think golf, you think of Tiger Woods, just like you said earlier in this segment. But one of the things that I think he's looking for is to solidify himself as he is today. There's a lot of things that happen to Tiger Woods in between tournaments and injuries and things like that, and for him to make the comeback and show that he has that longevity still within him, he has that drive to really go far, even further than he has already, and to just show and prove to himself that he still has it. Without the crowds there, just like Ken said, he doesn't have anything else to focus on except for his game, any nagging injuries that he might have. But you don't have that crowd, with the eyes on you. It's just you and the game. And I think that Tiger Woods does have this tournament as a stepping stone if he doesn't do well, but he can also really solidify his legacy within the sport. I really hope he is successful in what he's trying to do, and that he finds that what his passions are, and he reaches his goal.
Mike, I have a question for you, man. Say Tiger Woods before this tournament says, "I'm retired." Do you think he's the GOAT?
I think he is, and the reason why is because, I mean, like
the fact that you look like him.
I wish I could play like him. Gosh, but yeah,
if he has a movie, that's Mike.
One of these days, that's my dream. That's my dream role. We'll see what happens.
Bro.
But I think, he's not. I mean, he has 15 major championships. He's 4 away from breaking Jack Nicklaus as the all-time at 18. But I think he's done enough to be the GOAT, and the reason why I say that is because he has just transcended the sport, like what Michael Jordan did with basketball, making it global. Granted, golf isn't as global as basketball, obviously, but I think because of him, he's inspired so many other great golfers. I mean, he's really taken it on the map, and like we've said so many times, when you think of golf, you think of Tiger Woods. So to answer your question, I think if he were to retire like tomorrow, he's head and shoulders the GOAT, most definitely.
You know what's crazy for me is that even broken Tiger, people still do the whole like Tiger versus the field, and more often than not, they pick Tiger over the rest of the field, which is crazy to me, right? So like, just the fact
that's how much of a GOAT he is, bro.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if Tiger wasn't playing this next tournament, then we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
Oh yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Oh yeah, that's how you know. That's how you know, like, that you're big time. For sure.
Come on, man. Like, if Tiger didn't play that fundraiser game with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Phil Mickelson, that wouldn't happen still.
Nobody would have watched it.
I would have watched that. Yeah, but I think for me, I think now it's as tough as ever because the field is way better than when it was 20 years ago. Like when he first got up. So he's inspired all these younger golfers. They just want to be like Tiger, You have Justin Thomas, you have Cameron Champ, you have Brooks Koepka, who's won 2 majors last year. So you have all the competition is at its highest. So for Tiger to win that Masters championship last year, it was
what's crazy is that a lot of these guys that are literally at the top of the sport weren't even born when Tiger won his first major. So that's how crazy, crazy long Tiger's career has been and how long he's been at the top. I mean, those few years of injuries and personal craziness, the guy was slated to become the GOAT even earlier. Can you imagine what his career would have been like if what was it, like 2008 to 2011 period was a race? He would have been like at what, like 100 PGA Tour victories, like 22. Major victories. Absolutely.
It's like number 8 and number 24.
Exactly, reincarnation. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see because he looks fresh. His swing looks great. It looks like his back isn't giving him any issues. So that tournament is coming up very soon. So we're going to move on to our last topic for tonight, and it's going to be our question of the night. And I'm going to put the question to you guys. So if you were to jump into a time machine, say we have the technology, you can go back in time and watch or see any sporting event or game, what would it be? Aljamin, I'll start with you.
For me, there's a ton of games that I would love to be in attendance in. The one that really sticks out to me the most is the 1992 Dream Team. You had Michael Jordan, you had Larry Bird, you had Magic Johnson. Just to see and to witness these guys dominate over in the sport of basketball on a global field is a dream come true. We saw a couple of glimpses of Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson going at it on the court. You see that transition happening, passing the torch from one great to another. And just to witness that firsthand, right, being there, the energy would have been like crazy for me. And as a big basketball fan, that's hands down the top event there for me.
Any particular game, like a specific game? Would it be like the gold medal game, or like the very first game they all played together, or what?
The practice.
I would say the practice.
Yeah, for sure. The practice was super. What's the word I'm looking for?
Competitive.
Super competitive. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that it was probably a lot more competitive in that 100%. Practice than they actually were in the actual Olympics. So
absolutely.
That's what you could take away from that.
Yeah. Anthony, how about you? What game or event would you see?
I'm gonna go off of the 92 Dream Team, the practice, but not when they were playing against each other, but the team played the college select team. That is the game I would love to see. Just because, as media guys, all of us, just waiting, can you imagine just being outside of the arena, waiting for the practice to end, just being able to go inside, doors are open, and you just see all these superstars, just the energy is just dropped. Bunch of energetic NBA superstars, and the energy is just dropped, and you have no idea what's going on. So imagine you're the one guy that's in the gym and you got to see all that unfold. So that's kind of my choice.
Yeah. How about you, Ken?
Well, mine has to be, especially with everything that's happened this year, this guy's last game.
So the one against Utah? Against Utah, right? Sir.
Kobe Bryant's last game versus Utah, where he scored 60 points. I am so sad that we didn't get credentials, and EBC didn't get credentials until the year after. I was able to see when I was able to be there when they retired his 2 jerseys. That was an amazing experience. It was one of the few times I could not summon the courage to ask a question. So I was in that media room, just extremely quiet, almost hyperventilating, just because my hero is up there talking. But that final game, man, this is literally the last game of a guy that's played in the league for 20 years. He is literally on his last legs. The team is doing nothing but passing him the ball. I mean, that team is extremely young. extremely
inexperienced
for Kobe, right? Like everyone, like Randall was setting moving screens. You had D'Lo, you had Jordan Clarkson, you had Larry Nance. I mean, all those guys were doing everything to get him the ball. And for him to you could see how nervous he was before the game too, right? I mean, and then also during the game, at the beginning of the game, he was just chucking up shots, breaking. And then once he got into his stride, oh man, like I remember expecting, all right, I think it'll be a good game if he puts up 30 tonight. Double that.
Yeah, crazy.
And got the W. I really don't think anyone will ever top that for their final career game.
I agree.
Right, it's shortened, due to an injury. I don't think you can. I mean, look at Vince Carter's last game, or even like Tim Duncan's last game, right? You don't really remember him, but Kobe Bryant's last game is better than most people's best game.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there like a specific moment in the game that just like excited you the most? Like,
I really think it was afterwards when like all the young guys like came and he hugged all of them.
Oh,
and, I started crying.
I remember that.
Oh man, I wish I could be in that hug right now. And then he hugged his wife and his kids. Oh my goodness! And then now I'm just like thinking about everything that's happened. So now I'm emotional. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah, those are some good moments, guys. Definitely.
How about you?
Oh, for me, I wouldn't even go modern time. For me, I would go all the way back to the very first Olympics. I think that'd be like, because I'm like a history nut, so I think it'd be. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see like how they came up with the idea of the Olympics, like how they planned it, and just see like how it was orchestrated. I think it'd be pretty cool to like go back to those times, walk the streets, just see like how civilization was back then.
Well, that'll be a completely different world. I mean,
for sure.
I bet you that their Olympics is probably like extremely underwhelming, and you're going to be.
I'd probably compete in it too, so I can. Like,
why aren't you in the Olympics?
You compete in it. You run the 100. You'd run like a 30, like a 12 or a 13 right now. Just with your feet, and then you would still.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think for me it'd be more about like the history, just seeing like to see how people were back then, and just see how people like conversated and things like that. So all right, guys, well that is our show for tonight. I really hope you guys enjoyed the show. On behalf of everyone in our panel, thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune in next week. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenewsph to join the conversation. For Eagle News, I'm Michael Hudson. We live in interesting times.